The small Karoo town has lots of history and some oddities to attract tourists. From the largest beer collection in the southern hemisphere to the 200-year-old water pit from the town's establishment. The area also has some of the clearest unpolluted skies, perfect for the SKA and for stargazing.
We picked the Canarvon area because it's right next to the SKA and where the SKA is being developed. So we believe that this area is unique in terms of how visible things are. You can see galaxies with your naked eye, constellations with a telescope. That makes this area very unique and perfect.
The 6 young people are now qualified, accredited tour guides, able to unravel the mysteries of the stars to tourists.
What I find interesting about astro-guide is learning more about the galaxy and the stars. In the most difficult part that we had was learning the stories, but that's one of the interesting things that you learn. You learn about the history about the koi suns, you learn about the history of Carnarvon, and you also learn about the history that old people used the stars as, like what they used it as a navigator, and the stories that are linked with it. It's part of our roots, it's where we come from, and that makes it unique.
What fascinates me about being an astro-guide is that we learn so much about the stars. It was something new, and to experience what we have in our place, that's something beautiful.
What are you looking to see after
Growth, and more growth.
In the beginning, to be honest, it was another world. I can't tell you about it because I don't know anything about astro guides and about stars, but wow, when we were on the journey and we learned about astro guides and stars and everything, it became very good. I feel very passionate about it and feel very passionate about myself doing these things.
The Astro-Guides project is one of the SKA's legacies for the town that hosts it.
What makes it unique is the fact that we work with indigenous knowledge and stories being told by these youngsters. And it's in combination with Western astronomy. So they will be able to show you something like Jupiter. They would show you the rings of Saturn through a telescope, but they will be able to tell you the story of how the Milky Way was created by a young bushman girl who threw ashes up into the sky. So that makes it very unique. Where the guides may function, they allow to do tours in the entire Northern Cape.
The area is still plagued by unemployment and poverty. It's hoped that the Astro Guides will encourage others here to also reach for the stars. Ulrich Hendricks, SABC News, Canarvon, Northern Cape.
For more on this, we now speak to Dr. Anton Binneman, Acting Head of Communication at National Research Foundation and the South African Radio Astronomy Observatory. And he joins us via our video link. Dr. Anton, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. Let's start off here. What is a star guide?
Thanks very much for the opportunity. So the Astro Guides is a concept that we developed in this area to make sure that we get unemployed youth involved in tourism and in astrotourism specifically. So what these guides are is that they're exploiting the dark skies. So in Canarvon, if you look up into the night sky, you can see things that you can't see in the cities. You can't see it in Cape Town or Joburg or Pretoria or anywhere else. But when you come to Carnarvon, you can see it. And very few of us actually knows what's going on. And the Carnarvon Astro Guide specifically are people who have knowledge about the science behind astronomy. So they know where to find things. They know which stars would be Jupiter, which is Mars. They know where Canopus lies. So they know where things are. But what makes them even more unique is the fact that they know the indigenous stories that's been told by astronomers in this area for the last 5,000 years. It would be very arrogant to think that Westerners brought astronomy to the Karoo, which is not the case. So the astro-guides knows these stories, and they know how to link it with Western astronomy. So that's what a star guide or an astro guide in this context would be.
And let's talk more about this program that was created for these 6 students in the Northern Cape. Why would you say that the National Research Foundation went out of their way to actually create this program?
So what you must remember is that the SKA would be the biggest radio telescope on the face of the Earth. And one of the things that we've said from early on is that we want to leave the communities better when we finished with the project and in which we've in a better condition as the one that we found it in. And poverty in these areas are rough. People are really struggling, and this project is an initiative to kickstart or to start moving in a direction where people can exploit something like the dark skies. It's one of many interventions, and it's a pilot program that will be rolled out in other communities and in the broader Northern Cape, because we have these lovely dark skies, and less than 10% of the world's population has seen the skies in this condition. So that would be the motivation, is we are in this area, we're functioning in this area, and we would really like to better the communities that we're working in.
And the 6 astro star guides which were selected to be part of this program, perhaps just tell us, what was the process of actually selecting these students to be part of this project?
So the story starts in 2016-17. So Chrislyn and Amy Lee won a prize through a tourism competition that them and their educator, Mr. Philander, took part in. And they were selected to go to France to present their master plan for astro-tourism in the Karoo. And there a small seed was planted, and my manager at that point started developing an astro-tourism plan. National Tourism developed an astro-tourism route, and there will be a science visitor center constructed in Canarvon. But you need to develop something around that to kickstart it. So we advertised in the local communities. Chrislyn and Amy Lee was the first 2 that applied. We had about 100 applications, of which the 6 that we chose were the best. So we advertised and applied like you apply for a job. And through that process, we've paid and we've done the training with them.
And looking at this project and this course that these 6 candidates undertook, just tell us more about that. What did it actually entail?
So it was like you said in the introduction, it was quite grueling. We started off with general astronomy. What do you see if you look up in the sky, and what are these things called? So we started with that. Then we had an in-depth look at our solar system, our galaxy, how do you fit into the broader universe. Astronomy concepts from A to Z was covered within this. So literally everything that you can think of that you see in the night sky was Module 1. Module 2 was indigenous knowledge and stories told by people in this area, which was done by elders. A lot of it was done by community elders who knows the stories and who've dealt with the stories in the past. And then we started doing things like, how do you facilitate the tour? So that was quite grueling. It was the first part, and the second part was accreditation training, where they had to write exams, and they were now fully accredited tourism or cultural guides that's allowed to function in the broader Northern Cape. So astronomy, indigenous knowledge, how these two meet, why is your story unique? To things like what is the culture of Canarvon, what is the things that you can find in Canarvon, as Ulrich indicated in his interview and piece with them. So yeah, that's the idea. Or the idea was to get them as broad education as we could in terms of tourism, not just astro-tourism, but also tourism of the area. Seeing things in Canarvon. There's a very interesting history in Canarvon that encompasses everything from colonial history to San and Khoi history, and astronomy and struggle history with people like Alan Busak from Canarvon and Franklin Son from Canarvon. So a really rich history, and they were taught all these things in this process.
All right. Dr. Anton, thank you so much for your time this evening. That is Dr. Anton Binneman. He is the acting head of communication at the National Research Foundation, as well as the South African and Radio Astronomy Observatory.